Hello there guys, PC Guy here in another unboxing slash review video, and this time we're going to be looking at Phanteks' neon RGB strips. They are, well, as the name implies, RGB strips, and I'm going to give you guys a look of what you get when you get them, how they look like when they are in use, and what you can expect from them when you put them in your case. I've seen them for a while now, and they really caught my eye based on a few things. One is that they, well, as you can see by the way it looks in the box, they are kind of flexible and not really as rigid as standard normal RGB strips. The other one is that the light diffusion that it has from this little transparent layer on top seems to be pretty good and give you next to no hotspots, where you can actually see where the LEDs are shining, which is one of my chief complaints on my Thermaltake fans, is it doesn't really diffuse light very well. They come in three different sizes. There's the 1 meter size, which is pretty big, and it's good for encompassing, well, multiple areas of your chassis or fans or whatever. There's the 55 meter centimeter variant, which is this one, the M5, and there is a combo of 2 times 40 centimeter, which is, well, for if you want to do multiple areas with different strips, that's the one you should go for. They're compatible with obviously Phanteks' own digital RGB solution and their own controllers, but they are also compatible and come with an adapter for Aura Sync from Asus, Mystic Lighting from MSI, Polychrome Sync from ASRock, Razer Chroma, and RGB Fusion from Gigabyte. So you can sync them up with almost anything, and if I may toss just one first piece of criticism at this is, why not IQ? I know Corsair is taking steps to collaborate with Asus to control the Aura connected devices via IQ. However, that's not really completely fully fledged out yet. Without delaying further, let's see what you get and how you open the box. I'm not exactly the most gracious of unboxers, so this might get messy. You thankfully don't have to cut open the plastic box like sometimes you do with some products. It just clicks open like this. So there's gonna be some plastic noises on the mic because it's quite sensitive. Anyway, it pops open pretty easily, and the LED strip pops out. So let's start with that first, and it has a 3-pin connection on both ends, like male and female ends, that is. They are daisy chainable. If you have multiple of these strips, you can daisy chain them with each other, provided that they are also 3-pin Phanteks products, so not with other, like, brands, other connectors, all that sort of stuff. Only Phanteks digital products, that is. You have to keep in mind though that if you have this connected to one of the motherboard headers via the adapter or something like that, or to the controller, usually there is a limit on how many LEDs you can run off of one header. Both in terms of how much power they draw, but more often than not, just the final head LEDs on the strip will not light up because they just don't get enough juice. So there's that, keep that in mind if you daisy chain them. And headers like, for example, the Aura on my Asus motherboard, they have a limit of 120. You can bump that up to 128 via some modding, but they have a limit of how many LEDs you can control through one strip. First impression, it is pretty flexible, pretty malleable. You can bend it and turn it whatever way you want, and I don't feel a lot of resistance. You can, for example, do pretty sharp 90-degree turns, and I'm not even pressing that hard to get it like that. So obviously I would not do a full hard 180, because whatever they did in here to actually get it to be this flexible, there will be some limits to that flexibility, and a hard 180 would most likely damage some connections in there. Taking a quick look at what else we got in the box, we have, for starters, a little baggie. Well, for starters, that's pretty much all the rest. Now these are mounting clips that you can mount on your case, basically, for the strip to run through to actually fix it in place, because like I showed you guys, a very flexible strip, so it kind of has to be held in place by these clips. Now these are kind of slightly chunky, if I might say so myself, there are two ways to fix this. One is through the included adhesives, double-sided adhesives that come included as well. They are M3 adhesive, I believe. And yeah, this kind of comes to my first criticism, well, second criticism, that is, of the strips, which is they could be magnetic. Now, not fully magnetic all along the tape, because it's very flexible and it might be tricky to get a material like that, but they could have every 3-4 centimeters put a little magnetic little piece, and then you could just stick it to the case whatever you wanted, and you'd pretty much be done with it. Now, having an adhesive kind of limits it. If you want to switch it from one place to the other, if you can actually remove it and reuse it again, the same double-sided adhesive or not, and is that going to leave sticky stuff, pun not intended, on your case. It does have other application methods that you might be able to use, which is the screw hole here at the side. It could potentially, if you mount it, for example, along a motherboard or along your case fans or something like that. However, it would really be easy if it was just magnetic application and you'd be done with it. Other than that, the only thing it further includes is the adapter for 4-pin ARGB. In this case, it would be great if it actually included a splitter or something like that. That's not the case, but it would be handy for those of us that have limited ARGB headers. The mounting brackets are pretty easy to install. What's the best way to actually show this? It's like this, I suppose. You'll literally just kind of shove it in there, again, pun not intended, and kind of force it into its position. Not the most graceful of application doing it before the camera, but yeah, after that it just kind of stays there, hold its shape to perfectly showcase all the pieces. You have the 90, and you have two types of flat ones that, well, kind of changes the orientation that your strip is mounted. Now, time to put this sucker in and actually see how it looks like in person. I'm not going to mount it just yet. I still have to decide exactly where it will go on the case and how it will look in different things, but I'll at least let you guys see how it looks like in terms of how does it look like when it's on, in terms of light diffusion and and its flexibility and synchronization capabilities. So I took off the side panel to be able to show you guys better how it looks in practice, and I am pretty satisfied. Now, I have it right here. You probably, I'm not very well equipped with a camera to show you guys properly, but it has virtually no hotspots. It's all on static white, which is what I had my PC on lately. But as you can see, there are pretty much no white spots, no hotspots where the LEDs are. So the diffuser does a pretty great job at just diffusing the light and not having that unwanted effect. Now, I do have to say that it is, let me try to angle it properly, the LEDs are on the plastic casing at the bottom, as you can imagine, with the diffuser on top. So most of the light goes directly off the strip and not really to the sides, as if you have, like, you know, just the exposed LEDs on that some of the, well, cheaper variants have. Just the exposed LEDs, if no diffuser, that the light just goes everywhere. Well, if you want the light to spread like that, you probably will not get that effect off of this strip. I will put it on rainbow mode just so you can see how the colors change and how they diffuse. Apply, and hopefully you guys can see. And yeah, once again, no hotspots. It's very fluid how the colors move between the LEDs on the strip and how they look. And I will try to show you guys how it looks like on the PC itself. You might get a bit of a shaky camera because I'm going to grab the webcam. So recording the bottom fans, for example, even though it's way too bright and I have no way to turn on the brightness, unfortunately, in Aura, you can clearly see that there are hotspots where the light does not get diffused properly. So yeah, compare that, for example, you know, those little, I'm going to try to point out, like those little dots of light that you see around the edge, that's where the LEDs are. You can clearly see where they are, while with the strip, there is none of that. It's just a plain, nice, well diffused, well, strip of light, as it should. Now, I have not put it in the case yet for one simple reason, which is, and if you are having an O11 dynamic, then be aware of this fact, is that this little, well, things that you have for to mount it and to route it, they are, I'm not going to put my fingers there because the fans are running, but along this edge here, it is too narrow to actually put these. So now you have an option, which is to break off a piece here at the side, which is not ideal, obviously, but we'll let it fit, especially the straight ones. With the straight one, if you break off this flat piece on the side that serves basically no purpose unless you are screwing it on an actual screw, then it will definitely fit here on the side. Otherwise, it won't. Also has the disadvantage that if you want to route it, for example, along the motherboard, the rubber around the cable passes are a bit thick and they will not let you put those mount things there. Like you can put it like on the side, you can put it before or after the cable pass, but not really, well, completely on it. Same thing goes for here along the side. It's way too tight to actually put a LED strip there, so if you are aiming for that effect on your motherboard, you will not be able to put it there. That aside, and that's a bit more something that you have to keep in mind with whatever case you have, make sure that you have a place to mount it properly in your case. Let's say pretty satisfied with them, and they are everything I was hoping for, really. The light diffusion is great, and that's something that I was afraid of. That's the major downside of the fans that I have right now. It is crazy flexible. You can pretty much bend it in whatever way, shape, or form you want, and there is no problem. It still keeps working as nicely as ever. The price is pretty decent as well. They are not crazy expensive. Has the downside. It does not support Corsair, which I wish it did. Not that it affects me, but I do feel like that's pretty much the only major brand it does not support synchronization with, so that's kind of a flaw that it has, and Corsair is a pretty popular brand for fans, etc., so synchronization would be ideal, but that's kind of a recurring point that I always touch on when it comes to RGB stuff, that synchronization is a must going forward, and it would be nice to see it synced with every brand out there. In any case, if you are looking for LED strips, I definitely can recommend it. Keep in mind, however, the mounting mechanism and the fact that it is a bit of a tall in terms of height. So if you wanted to look flush and flat on your case, you're not going to achieve that with this. However, it's not going to be very noticeable if you have it mounted alongside the motherboard, for example. It's about as high as the motherboard and the standoffs would be, so it's not really going to look out of place. Let's take a look at the product page. Like I said, three options, 2x40, the M5, which is the one I got, the 50 or 55 centimeter version, and the M1. They have, this is what it should look like. They have a lot of showcase material, and an interesting one here is, for example, the display of different uses. In this case, around the motherboard, this is the M5, the one that I have, 55 centimeters, seems to be exactly enough for around the two sides of an ATX motherboard. So if that's the idea that you want to go with, this size is perfect. The M1 or 1 meter is more suited for things like this, and if this was actually straightened out, I think it would be basically a whole lap around. They obviously give you a few more details of how you could potentially run it if you wanted to, before actually coming to information that we already mentioned about synchronization, and then they come to the full spec list if you are interested in stuff like that, like the thickness and width of the strip, which could be useful to check if you actually can place it where you want to place it or not. And it lists you individually what it comes with in terms of mounts, how many adhesives, and all that sort of things, like the extension cable, how long it is, and yeah, all the information that you need should be here. I wish that it had, for example, in terms of how many amps it actually draws, because that's also important to know how many devices you can connect to your header. but that's something that you can kind of deep dive and look into. Now, hope this has been enlightening for you in your quest for blinging up your PC. I can definitely recommend the LED strips. They look pretty great. It's a shame about the mounting mechanism, but that's nothing that a little bit of DIY can solve, and I might actually have to head into that route. So hope I'll see you guys in the future. I'll put a link down in the description for the strips on Amazon. It's an affiliate link, so you're helping the channel if you click that at no extra cost for yourself. So if you are looking to grab these strips in whatever format you wish, click the links down below, and thank you in advance. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. Helps us be able to do more content like this in the future and improve the way that we do it as well, with better recording, etc. And I hope I'll see you in the next video. Have fun.